Test. How are our levels? Are they good on this Christmas time? And that's that.
That's it.
That's the whole show.
Yep. That's our Christmas special. We call it the Christmas special.
It's 11 seconds and it's just that.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the After School Special Club podcast. Ho, ho, ho. My name is Chris.
Ho, ho. I'm the ho. I'm Mary.
And this is your podcast for video games, entertainment, and stories from our stupid little lives.
Over and over and over
again. Until something happens.
Until, we combust.
Right.
That's the final episode. We just combust.
Until the asteroid you talked about last time destroys us all.
That's right. The scientists were like, you know what? You know how we said don't worry about it? Actually, we should worry about it. It's actually right now. So.
And it should take out Chris and Mary first.
Which is funny because, there's more stories we want to get into. But I had a dream one time where I was looking at the news. You know how you have those dreams where it's almost deja vu to where it happens in real life where you know what? I'm not saying I have premonitions, but
I have premonitions.
Maybe. And it was very realistic. And I was looking at a screen and they said a comet or an asteroid was coming to Earth and we had 3 days.
Wow, only 3 days.
3 days to say goodbye to your loved ones and to be close to them.
Yikes.
Well.
And we're here.
And yeah, Merry Christmas.
Merry holidays.
It's the happy holiday time. Here on the Chris and Mary special, where we talk about the end of the world.
Oh my God, next week we should get Santa hats because the episode we record next week will be out for Christmas week, I think.
Yeah, let's have hot cocoa.
Yeah.
Okay, are you a whipped cream hot cocoa person? Or
Oh yeah, it has to have whipped cream, not marshmallows.
Not marshmallows.
I don't really like marshmallows.
Okay, so we'll have whipped cream for you and marshmallows for me.
Okay.
What car? I'll have both. I'll be that girl. Can I have both? I'm an extra.
Can I have both? Yeah, it's $2 extra.
Yeah, I'm like, it's fine.
It's fine, whatever.
Moment on the lips, lifetime on the hips. That's what I say. That's what I say to the person making my drink. They're like, "Are you roasting yourself?"
They're like,
I'm like, I love self-deprecating orders.
Thank you for the hot cocoa. Happy holidays.
Give myself.
Oh my God. Well, Mary, how was your week?
You know how usually we talk about you getting injured on this podcast. Well, I in fact got a call from the Oops police and did a number on me. Yeah. So I had something fall on my head. I had a head injury at work.
God. How heavy was it?
I would say, I can never really judge. I mean, my head did the weighing. So I would say at least 5 to 10 pounds.
Ooh.
Like a heavy weight. You pick up one of those dumbbells.
Yeah.
Not like a heavy dumbbell. I'm talking like a 10 pounder. Heavy for me.
Right.
So
heavy for my weak women arms.
My woman arms. I can't lift. Even though women are jacked now and that's the expectation. I'm like, oh, can't.
Your arms just in the wind
It's like the SpongeBob where I'm lifting the stuffed animals. I'm like, oh.
The marshmallows.
Yeah. No, but it was at least 5 pounds, I want to say.
Yeah.
At least. And I did the thing where I was looking and I was doing it right. I was not doing it incorrectly or unsafely. It's the box was in the corner of the box that I was trying to get. And I didn't see it because it was literally in the corner of it and it was tiny, but it was heavy. And I lifted that one out and it literally slid into my head, bonked me on the top of the head.
Bonk, go to horny jail.
And then I was right next to, and of course, Mary fashion, I was more worried about the box hitting the car next to me than my head. I was like, oh no, it's going to hit the car. But at the meantime, I was like, oh.
Whoa.
I was like, I don't feel so good. I feel lightheaded. And then I kind of blacked out for a second. I was like, and I came back to, and I was like, what just happened? And then I was like, I started working again. I was like, it's fine. And I was like, no, it's not fine. It's a head injury. I gotta do some stuff. That. Yeah, I gotta do something in case something bad happens. And I'm in a hospital bed somewhere going right. Why did you work the rest of the day?
Yeah, you got to fill out that sheet, circle the head.
That's another part of it. When I had to circle the injury part, there was 3 rotations of a human beings, the front, the back, and the side. I circled all sides of it. I was like, it's the head.
The whole head, every side.
It's not just that part.
The box hit me on all sides.
Yes. But I just felt like when I was sitting down, reporting the injury, back in grade school when you would go to the nurse. Yeah. And you would fix your boo-boo there or whatever.
They're like, here's a cough drop, you're fine.
Yeah.
And then you throw up later and have to go home.
Oh, exactly. They're like, why didn't you tell me? It's like, you didn't let me
you
go.
You didn't listen to me.
They're like, they jingle the keys of freedom in front of you like some possessed carrot. And they're like, but do you have a fever? Go back.
Go back.
99.9. Nope. You got to be 100.
Meanwhile, you're like...
Anyway. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
But I'm glad I'm okay. I've never been concussed before. And I looked up what being concussed, I just love that word. Concussed means. And I was like, I don't think I have any symptoms. I looked it up. I was like, lightheadedness. Nausea.
Blacking out.
Dizziness. I was like, nah.
You had all those symptoms. You're like, nah.
I only blacked out for like a second. And I looked it up and they're like, it can mean even seconds. So
and you're like, shit.
Damn it.
It's not helping.
And then I had to stay up. Like I had to wake up in 4-hour intervals just in case. I was like, ugh. I woke up. I was like, I'm still alive.
No rest. You're like,
damn it. But yeah, so I'm fine now, I think, unless there's permanent damage. And then we'll just see.
Yeah.
We're gonna keep that on the back burner.
Roll with the punches.
Yeah. My brain's gonna roll with the punches from a box.
It's your brain is dislodged now, so it's just like rolling around in your head.
That's what I thought. Like this little squishy moment. It was like I felt it being squishy, like. And I was like, oh, I'm okay.
I'm fine. Ooh.
I was like, oh, I hope the car's okay.
Well, see, that would be my first thought too, because I'm like, well, what's worse to deal with? A customer who I hit their car or me being concussed? And the answer is dealing with a customer whose car I hit with something.
Yeah, she looked like a rich, privileged woman too. Right. So that would be the worst. She's like, oh my, like I'm like bleeding from the head. And she's like, I cannot believe that you would hit my car. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry.
You're like passing out.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, sorry, ma'am.
Sorry. Oh.
Throw up on her car. Add insult to injury. Revenge. Add insult to injury, literally.
You open her car door and throw up on the seat. You're like, oh, I don't know what happened.
That's leather. It's white leather.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Well, I'm glad you're okay.
Yeah, no, I think I'm okay.
That happened to me too recently. I don't think I ever told you about that. I was pushing a cart into a cooler and a box hit. Well, the thing is, I built the U-boat to the right height. I was following OSHA. It's the fucking air curtains in coolers that boxes catch on them.
Yeah.
And then they go.
Yep.
And it slid off and like I could hear it happening. And there were two people watching me and they both saw it happen.
Like vigilantly. They're just
like they saw it. Like all three of us clocked that it happened, but it happened so fast no one could do anything and just went bonk. And I was like, Was it
like garlic butter?
No. Thank God. Can you imagine?
Like
20 pounds. I probably would have been in the hospital.
Yeah. And I would have been like, I'm fine. I'm going to go back to work. Bleeding.
Nothing tops the time I dropped that bucket of glaze on the floor though.
Oh, that's the worst because it's sticky. You don't want to drop anything sticky on the ground, but a copious amount
20 pounds of glaze.
Yeah.
The nice thing is though, because you're supposed to water it down, we just got a hot hose and like watered it down but there was something comical about squeegeeing glaze into the drain.
It's like
and it left like a slime trail and then we had to clean the slime trail. It was
Or you could have told somebody that there's a loose, large slime somewhere.
Oh yeah, I should have done that. I should have been like, there's a giant snail. They're like, where? And I'm like, I don't know.
I don't know. You gotta find it.
Follow the trail. It's just like a 2-foot trail from the freezer to the drain. I'm like, I don't know where it went. It's gone. Oh God.
You go with the net. You're like, I'm ready. I want to waste as much company time as I can. But I'm not gonna let you know that.
It was just frustrating because I was like already pressed for time that day, and then I was like, "Come on,
not this!"
Yeah, of all things,
yelling at the puddle of goo
because those buckets are so chintzy too.
Yeah, they are. Like fine china.
And then this was also right after that product went out of stock. So I managed to get one of the last buckets, and of course I broke it. And then the following like 2 weeks, we couldn't order any, and I was like,
"It's because you took out the last container.
It was all my fault.
That was the last one we had in the region. Went on the floor.
They don't need to know that. This stays between us and everyone listening. You can listen to this public podcast.
Right.
All right. So this past week, the Game Awards happened, and Mary and I watched it separately, but we're live texting each other during all of it. So we took some notes, and I think we're going to spend probably the rest of the episode talking about our thoughts, talking about our games that we're excited for next year and all of that fun stuff. So do you want to kick us off, Mary?
I'll kick us. I want to kick us.
Ow.
Ooh. Yeah.
My booty.
So basically the host, right? Oh, I forget his name.
Jeff Keighley.
Jeff Keighley. That's his name.
Joff
Keighley.
Is he a Joff? I forget. I think
it's Jeff.
I think it's Jeff.
Yeah, Jeff. What a dude. What a man. But overall, I would say that this award were better than last year's awards.
Oh, yeah.
I felt more engaged. I felt like they had better videos to show. I felt like overall, like the production and like the music too that was done.
Yeah, I actually enjoyed all of the music performances because normally when there's like a music performance in an award show, I'm like,
when's it gonna be?
I'm looking at my fake watch for those of you who aren't listening.
That's right. And like, I didn't know why Sting was there. Was it?
Did he have a song in a video game?
I think so. I think the song that he was singing was in a video game.
Yeah.
I even like, because like Sting was there. I was like, why is Sting here?
Yeah, I was like,
just,
Sting is opening?
He's just
like,
here?
I have nothing else to do.
Yeah. And also like Imagine Dragons, they were there.
Which also, I didn't know what Imagine Dragons looked like.
Me neither.
Until I saw them. So I was like, oh.
That's what they look like.
Yeah.
I Imagine Dragons.
I didn't like that performance though. That was the one I didn't like.
Yeah, I didn't like it.
We were both, I think, texting each other like, cringe.
Stop.
There were a couple moments where Mary and I were like, cringe.
I'm cringing so hard. Like the Marvel woman who came out. And she's like part of the Marvel universe or whatever.
I was like,
she's like talking to the audience like, you will. And I was like, oh.
I was like, no, I won't.
Please stop.
Yeah, I was like, I hate this. Can we not do that? Can we just have music performances, the little robot, and announce, and can that be it?
Yeah, the little robot was cute, but nothing else. No other gimmick.
Nothing else was cute.
Yeah. Not even Keanu Reeves.
Well,
that's controversial.
Wow. Yeah, overall, I also really enjoyed the whole experience of it. Like normally award shows for me drag on. It was like 3 hours and like a little bit more. So I did take a smoke break once though. because it was actually right before it was when they were talking about Matrix.
Oh, the good one. They're like, oh, what's
the good?
This?
Oh, good part.
Yeah, gotta go, gotta leave.
Because I was like, I don't care about movies, so I was just like, whatever. And then I like that was it. But I had to get around and stretch my ankle. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, it was engaging overall. I liked the music performances, except for Imagine Dragons. I didn't really like that one, but yeah, I had a good time, and I thought the videos too that they showed, the previews and the world premieres were really engaging. Mm-hmm. There's definitely a bunch of games, which, we'll talk about in a few minutes, that I'm excited for. We can kind of talk about why, but I felt like overall they had really good stuff to show us. It was cool how many like special guests they had come up and talk about their games. Yeah.
Which usually like the developers a lot of times, or like people that are good up, it can be very awkward.
Yeah.
Or, like
you're like, oh, you don't go in front of a camera ever.
And talk in front of large amounts of crowds and try to say your emotions in front of them.
Right.
So I felt that. I was like, ooh. Crazy.
Yeah, there were a couple where I was like, ooh.
Yeah. And like also when they were accepting their awards, I was like, ooh.
Yeah, there was one, I think it was the woman for Returnal. Her voice is a little shaky, and I was like, I feel that though.
Yeah. And she actually she did a pretty she said some things. I was like, okay, you're talking.
She powered through it.
Yeah, she did. She
I was like
concise, but said things.
Yeah.
As opposed to
when people and then
the silence. Over it. Yeah, they're like, thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
I feel like I would be obviously we're used to being on camera now, but it's just I feel like even in that setting, in front of all those people.
What?
In front of all those people, I would probably be really nervous. So I would probably end up being like,
me too. I'd be like, well, good.
Or I would actually, no, more realistically, I would probably overcompensate.
I'd be like, keep talking. Like, whoa, take your shirt off. You're like, thank you.
Whoa.
You're like, sign my tits.
Sign my tits, Jeff.
Jet Black.
Yeah, overall it was a really good experience. I did have a couple of things that I wanted to touch upon in terms of the things that I felt like I wanted to see a little bit more from. Not necessarily about games in particular, but actually about some of the segments they had. So they had these really cool intercut segments that were global gaming citizens. And they are essentially, I guess, people in the gaming community who have a following online who, do well for our community and for the world in general, using video games as the sort of medium to do that. And those segments were really great. I did feel like they were kind of short, though. I felt like they could have been more produced, if you know what I mean. I felt like I would have liked to see a little more time given to those people, because some of those people are gamers and streamers that I actually really enjoy, and who I was like, oh my god, so cool. Khalif had one, and I saw I Am Brandon, and the drag queens, that was so awesome. But I felt like it was just kind of very brief, like intercut moments. I feel like it would have been cool to give them a little bit more time, you know, to actually kind of talk about what it is that they do and like what they bring to the community. Like, and I felt more so like with the drag queens, like the first segment that they had, like it was very much like, oh yeah, like, you know, we can bring people together and like escape to this fantasy world, like whatever. And then it was like cool, but I was like, I want to know like more about what you do and like
how you change the game and like
and how like what you do like about your community and I just wanted to see more about like what those people are using their platforms to achieve. You know, we definitely saw it a little bit more with, you know, like Khalif and with them talking about like the video where they had like all of like the gamers of color come together and talk about, you know, like police brutality and all that kind of stuff and being Black, you know, in white spaces. And like that was great, you know, and I felt like the intention for that was there. But as a queer person, I feel like I wanted to see more with like the queer segment and with like the drag queens and see like, okay, like it's cool. Like I see that you're here and you have a community and like, you know, you like using video games because it was like a way to escape and like be creative and imaginative. But like, I felt like there could have been more there. And like, I wanted to see a little bit more like as a queer person. But that was really it in terms of like my criticisms. Like I thought that they were great segments. I feel like in the future they should continue to do that, but maybe give those people a little more of a platform or have them actually like present at, you know, on stage, or, you know, have Jeff actually talk to them in person on stage rather than have it be like, here's like a 30-second segment. And then, and here's another world premiere. Like it felt very just like boop, boop.
Yeah, it felt like it was, especially the one with the drag queens. Like it just, like I thought it was really cool. And I like, you know, when it started, I was like, oh, that's awesome. Like, you know, I want to see more of that. Like that's something, those are stories that I want to hear.
Right.
And that I don't get to experience myself and I don't have direct experience with. And it did feel like it was like cut short. Like it didn't feel like it was natural. It felt like it was very like forced and then like dropped.
Right.
And like very like, let's get it over with. You know, we got more premieres.
We got more premieres.
Jeff is like snapping on stage, going like, "Come on, we got more premieres,
more premieres." Hey,
no, but I definitely agree with you. I think that it had good intention.
Yes,
but I feel like the delivery could have been a little bit better.
Yeah, and like I understand too. Like, you know, you have a time slot, like a broadcasting time slot, and like, you know, people are there for the games and for the premieres, and you have people like, I'm assuming, pay to be showcased. I don't know if that's true. Please fact check me. But I would imagine, you know, like, I don't know, actually. I'm going to backpedal on that because I don't know if you have to pay to be a part of the show, but maybe not. Maybe you get chosen. But, you know, obviously they have, again, these commitments that they're made to showing. So it's like, cool. Like, I understand that. But it's like, if you want to include this other segment, like, make the space for it, make the time for it. Like, don't, yeah, like, I agree. Like, the intention was good, but I think it could have been more substantial. And I would like to see more of that because, you know, I think it is really cool, like, especially now with technology the way it is, there is such a presence, especially with streaming, you know, and there is a lot of amazing, like, community working being done through streaming. You know, all of the streamers that I follow and like to watch do charity streams, you know, and are donating money every month. And I love to see that. And it's like, I like to see what, you know, what they're donating to, and, you know, seeing those changes and seeing those streams being done for a good cause. So it's like, I would like to see that highlighted more, I think, you know, at the event, and not have it just be entirely focused on, you know, devs and like the games they've created. You know, I think that's important, but it's like, I would like to see more community involvement, I think, and community presentation in the Game Awards. Yeah.
Because it is about the community. Like, the Game Awards is about the community.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, there's the community vote that it happens with the games, like most anticipated game, which won Elden Ring, which is not surprising at all.
Because I am also highly anticipating.
Yes. Seems like it's going to be a great game. But was that done through Facebook Gaming? Is that what it kept saying Facebook Gaming at the end of it?
Yeah, that was the part that I wasn't sure about.
I was very confused. That's why, like, I felt like what I said earlier, the intention, but not the application, because I was confused on what it was.
Right.
Like I knew, like it was good. Like I was like, I like seeing this, like it's representation, but like, what is this resource?
Right. And then like, what is the gaming, like Facebook gaming?
Yeah. How's that tied together?
Right.
How's that like, is that what they're using? Like, I don't know. Like this foundation, or is it a foundation, or is it like a...
Right. Like
that's the kind of information that I want to know more about. So I can either support it, tell people about it,
right,
like research it, like try to invest my own time and money
right.
into
like
it potentially.
Are these people that we seeing getting some sort of like award?
Yeah. I was very confused. It was good, but like I was confused. I was left confused, wanting more.
Right.
Which is something that you don't necessarily want to give your viewers. Like,
right.
Like, we're going to leave you confused and wanting more. We're not going to tell you anything. Jeff Keighley. I'm out. Mic drop. Every world premiere mic drop. It's like, we get it.
It's a smoke bomb.
Yeah.
He drops the mic and it's a smoke bomb.
It's a stink bomb.
Everyone's like, oh.
No, but yeah, I like you were saying all those things I agree with. Like, it's good to see that, the representation.
Yeah.
I'm glad that it's there. You know, critique all, we can, but
yes,
it's still a good.
Right. Yeah. And that's the thing is like, I don't want anybody listening to think that we're being like blasé and being like, oh, like I don't appreciate, because I do. And like, I think it's the first time that they were also doing that segment from what I understand. So I feel like obviously there's ways to improve upon it. And I think like people like us talking about it as viewers and as consumers and gamers in the community talking about it and being like, well, this is how I felt when I saw this, is important intel for them when they do it again in the future. To be like, oh, people want more of a spotlight on this. Let's make space for that. How can we change it to be different? I hope that they would do that. Yeah.
And I don't know if I remember correctly, but they were talking about women in gaming and then it cut away really quickly. And I don't think they really went into the like women in gaming. And then like when they went to something, I was like, what?
Cuts to a man.
Yeah. I was like, oh, yeah, I think it did actually. I think it did. But the guy that it cut to, like he was actually a streamer. He talked a lot about some good things, especially because he was like, yeah, you can be really, it's easy to be negative about a game. Like it's easy to be negative about like a game and how it functions and all these things, but it's harder to find the positive things in it. And just like, he said that like, that's what he was trying to do with his stream is like to create this positive environment.
Right. Which I really liked.
Yeah. Like that was super cool.
Because there's also a lot of like negative, like I feel like I always kind of forget because I exist within certain like, like an insular gaming community, right? Like I choose the groups of people that I watch stream and the games that I play. So it's like I sometimes forget that there are kind of toxic pockets in gaming, and even in the streams of people that I watch. You have that's why they have moderators. You know, when you're at a certain caliber, and like, I always forget that there is still negativity. So it's like it is nice to see people whose sole mission and sole goal is just to have fun and like bring fun to people and show them like the fun of games and not be critical about them. Yeah,
he definitely, I feel like he's serving his mission right. Like, that's good. And like that's one thing that like I'm hesitant, like that kind of gets in the way for me. I like seeing women play games and like stream and do those things. It really motivates me.
Yeah.
But also like it is kind of intimidating just because like what do you get? Like what kind of trolls are you going to get like in your comments? Like,
show booby.
Yeah. Like, and it's going to like, you can like ignore it, right?
Right.
But like, it still doesn't mean it won't affect you.
Right.
So like, if you can ignore it and like say, oh, it doesn't bother me, it can still bother you.
Right.
So, and like fighting through that, I think.
Yeah, I think it takes time to kind of get over
the hump. Yeah.
That hump.
The negative hump.
The negative hump.
The troll hump. Pay the troll hump, troll.
Pay to hump.
Pay to hump. It's not pay to play, it's pay to hump. Pay to hide dry hump.
They're like show booby, and then if you're showing too much boob, they're like, ooh, you whore.
Yeah, it's like you're only getting subs and all this money because you're boobs.
That's what you have to look forward to.
Yeah, I can't wait. Like you should put on more makeup. I'm like, well, you're wrong.
And then if you put on more makeup, they're like, you slut.
Take my money.
Wow,
slut.
I will.
Okay.
Okay.
I will.
Cha-ching.
Cha-ching. Woo.
So moving on, I just kind of wanted to talk now a little bit more about I guess what did we think about the winners of some of these categories?
So there were some surprises.
Yes.
I was definitely surprised. Honestly, by the game of the year. Like
same.
That the big award, like that actually surprised me.
I think there were two that I was really surprised about.
Yeah, I wrote down two in my notes.
Ooh.
But I was really shocked at that. Like I was happy. Like I was like, this is great. Like I like seeing this kind of game represented as being like game of the year.
Yeah.
And also it's like kind of the I know a lot of people like it. I know it's a very popular game, but it was kind of like the oh my gosh, the underdog. That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
That word. Yeah. Like the underdog of all the nominees, which was really cool.
Yeah, and it was nice, like, because again, I feel like we talked about this last time, but I feel like a lot of the games that were up for nomination were, again, like very niche games. Mm-hmm. And so it was cool because I felt like of all of them, I feel like It Takes Two and maybe Psychonauts were probably the most, the most kind of like, I don't want to say inaccessible, but like less like crowd pleasing. Like those like It Takes Two was the big surprise for me because I was like, oh, it's an amazing game, but I was just generally surprised because it's like, I feel like you don't ever see a game that's multiplayer win game of the year.
Yeah, I put that in the
notes. And
notes
it's solely multiplayer. There's no campaign.
Yeah, and I thought that, and it's not like a sandbox game either. They're like a shooter or anything like that. Like it's not like a Fortnite. It's like, no, it's just a multiplayer, like a local or like, co-op multiplayer.
Yeah, which is really cool because it's just, I mean, I think it totally deserves it. Mm-hmm. Like I was surprised, but in a positive way.
Yeah,
because I was like, from what I've seen, because I haven't actually played it. But I've watched a lot of people play it together, and I think like, what it brings with its story, the creativity of the design, mm-hmm. all of it is just so creative and so wonderful and so well done. So I was like super, super happy. I also love Joseph Fares, the director.
Oh, yeah.
He's hilarious and very handsome. So I was like, oh.
Hello.
I'm like, hello, sir.
And I hope that I feel bad for the company a little bit because they gain all this recognition, all these awards, and like they're going through that lawsuit right now.
Yeah.
At the same time.
Hazelight is?
Well, no, It Takes Two, the game.
Oh, yeah.
So there's the lawsuit over the name of it.
Yeah.
So they're like, Takes Two Interact. No, like
it
that's
takes
our
two
company.
to get sued.
Yeah, I'm like, I hope the judge just like sees it and just goes like, no, I'm not gonna even bother like with this, honestly.
Yeah.
But no, that was super cool seeing that, and I was excited because in my head I was even like saying, I was like, Deathloop. Audibly I was like, Deathloop's gonna win. They're like, It Takes Two. I was like, woo. I like felt exhilarated because it's nice seeing awards shows that like you don't know who the winner is gonna be.
Yeah.
Like, and
I feel like I can usually guess pretty well, but this year I was like,
yeah. Oh no, who knows? Which is exciting. I like I like those kind of awards. I don't like the ones that are like shoo-ins, like definites. Mm-hmm. Which I thought Deathloop did win a lot of awards. But I felt like Deathloop was going to win all the awards. I thought they were going to sweep. It was just going to be like a sweep. And I'd be like, at the end of the night, like, okay, I watched 3 hours of Deathloop winning awards. Right. But I'm glad that that was not the case. That was not the case at all.
My second one, and I need to... So my second one that I was surprised about and then retroactively changed my mindset on mm-hmm. was Guardians winning narrative. So... I kind of, in the last episode, and even when we were like talking about it before doing this, I kind of made like, I had like a false judgment because I did kind of shit on it by being like, oh, it's like a very run-of-the-mill like plot
like
in terms
movie.
Of like, da-da-da-da-da, mm-hmm. oh, conflict, ooh, ba-ba-ba. However... I've reflected on it a lot and I've changed my perception of it because I don't remember the woman's name. I wish I wrote it down in the notes, but the woman who accepted the award, mm-hmm. she said something that really made me rethink how I thought about it. And she talked about it being, at its core, a game about grief. And she's mm-hmm. absolutely right. I think that because it has the Guardians of the Galaxy atmosphere, right? So it's like fun and like, it has that uplifting, like quippy humor to it. But underneath that, there is this like through line of grief, in every character. You see it manifest in different ways throughout the game. And I guess I didn't really clock that. Mm-hmm. And it's funny because when I think about it, I'm like, that's one of the reasons that I really liked that game was because there was a very visceral, like emotional connection to these characters beyond just like their goofy, quirky exteriors. Like there was actually you see everyone cope with grief in a different way. And again, I can't really talk about it because you haven't played it and I don't want to rehash 2 episodes ago where I was like, the thing.
The thing and the thing.
And the person.
The grief and the thing.
Well, so now there's grief.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I really liked her speech. Like, I really liked that.
She had a really good speech.
Yeah. And like, I myself have dealt with a lot of grief in my life. And like, I am more interested in playing it now that I know the narrative is centered around something that I struggle with myself.
Yeah. And it's, because it's interesting. You see how each character deals with grief and like the through line of the tension and the conflict of it is based in how to cope with grief. And I don't know why I just didn't clock that. I think I internalized it, but I didn't reflect on it. And then when she said that, I was like, I feel like such an asshole because I kind of shat on it because I was like, oh, it has like a run-of-the-mill like Guardians plot, which on the surface it does, but there's more to it. And I didn't think about that, and I didn't like talk about it and externalize it. So I'm backpedaling and changing my opinion. And I totally think that Guardians is deserving of this award because it surprised me at first. And then when I reflected on it, I was like, actually, you know what? This game fucking rocks. Yeah. Beyond that too, it's just really fun to play. The mechanics are really fun. It's a beautiful game. Like, definitely deserved it. No,
it's a great game. I noticed like the beginning intro because I watched Chris play the beginning again because he was on his second playthrough, and the very beginning is like a scene with like you and the mother, and like I already know the backstory of Guardians of the Galaxy, so I already know like what happens there, at least to minimal knowledge. And even that I could sense like the longing and like the grief like element to it, because it was like a memory and like remembering something that was like you miss and like it's painful to remember sometimes. Like that is something that I like related to right away, like with the game. Like, I noticed that when I was watching that scene, I was like, oh, like, this is like an emotionally pulling scene. Yeah. And you're, like, seeing it from his perspective in the future. Right. Like his past, so.
Yeah, and it's, like, it's one of those things where it's, I mean, at least for me, like, I can relate to it. And I think why it resonated with me so much was because it is a very mundane sequence. And as you play, you go back to that scene several times, but it keeps going. So you learn more about that day and like get to different points. And it's a very mundane memory, but that's why it's so pulling, is because, when you are reflecting on, at least for me, when you're reflecting on the loss of somebody, you remember happy times with them and times that you were well spent together. Yeah. And it is oftentimes in mundane things, so I think that was part of what made that so pulling and made me gravitate towards it. Overall, very, very well written game.
Yeah. No, it made me want to play it more. That was not the game that I put down as a second game. That was surprising.
What did you put down, Mary?
Remember, the best ongoing game, Final Fantasy.
Oh, like that! Yeah, that also shocked me.
That surprised me. Because it won over Fortnite, won over Apex.
Apex, yeah.
Yeah. And like Fortnite and Apex, they continue like to do stuff. Like, Spider-Man's in Fortnite now. Yeah. Right?
Ariana Grande's in Fortnite.
That's right. Like it's a lot. But
I'm in Fortnite.
Wow. I'm talking to a celebrity.
Yeah.
Wow. But yeah, so that did surprise me. And then I was like thinking about it and I was like, like it just makes me feel like I don't know as much as I should about the world. Right. Because other parts of the world, other regions, they play different games more. Like,
that's true.
Like the most popular game in the world right now is a game that I've never even heard of.
Yeah.
And I can't even think of the name right now because that's how much little I know about it.
Right.
But when I learned about that, I was like, oh, I didn't even know what that game was. And it's like really big in like other countries.
Yeah.
And like that's the reason why. It's like, and I feel like I'm in my little shell sometimes. And that's probably why I was like so surprised until I looked it up and I was like, okay, it makes more sense.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it. But I've never really been into the online Final Fantasy, like at all, ever.
Yeah, I'm not into MMORPGs.
Yeah, me neither.
Really. But then that's probably, again, like why? Because we live in we have our insular gaming communities. So where it's like, I don't know, like the stats on online games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I wonder if like in other countries it's easier to socialize with people in your community through games.
Yeah.
Which I feel like is the case with certain things.
Yeah, because I know those games are typically more popular in like Asia.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's like I wonder if it just has a huge like player base somewhere else, and that's why we don't really recognize it. And like I could see like the online Final Fantasy games from what I've seen look very like impressive. So it's like maybe it is just also like Fortnite and Apex have this sort of style to them, and then Final Fantasy has the Final Fantasy style to it.
Yeah.
So maybe it is just more, and it is like, I think more fantasy driven versus like Apex and Fortnite being more like battle royale.
Yeah, because in Final Fantasy you can have a character, you can create it, you can like mold that character.
Right.
It can be like, you can spend hours and hours. Not that you can't spend hours and hours in Fortnite, because people do, but like I feel like it's more of a story oriented like game experience. Yeah. So I feel like that would probably pull people in, and you could probably elongate on that story. It's probably what they've been doing. Yeah. I don't really know what they've included. Like I don't really know that much about it, but that did surprise me, and it made me more interested in, I guess, not playing the games, but it made me
I want to play it less.
It made me interested in the idea of me maybe playing it one day, probably not, which is a lot.
Right.
Which is a lot for an online.
I feel like now it would be hard to jump in because it's so expensive.
It's so ongoing.
It's so ongoing.
It's so ongoing that I can't even start. It won't stop going.
I'm just waiting for Final Fantasy 16.
That's right. I'm waiting for Kingdom Hearts 4.
Ouch.
Yup.
Speaking of what we're waiting for, what game releases from the showcase were you excited for?
Definitely Forspoken. Sure.
For sure.
And that releases on May 24th, 2022, which doesn't seem that far away. I know it's like kind of far away.
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem that far away because 2021 literally happened in a day. It felt like. Yeah. And now it's 2022.
It happened 2 days ago. It was 2020.
I know.
And now it's 2021. Tomorrow, 2022.
2022. That's how time works. Yeah. But yeah, so definitely Forspoken.
Yeah.
I think seeing like what was at the Game Awards, like them kind of going further into it, more details about it, made me want to play it more.
Yeah. I'm really impressed with the battle. Mm-hmm. Like it looks, I don't know what the UI is going to look like in terms of like having a HUD or anything like that, but the magic and just the battle animations looked so cool. Like the magic in particular, I was just like I just want to cast spells because it looks cool.
Yeah, and I hope that's like what you want. If you have a game about like fighting, or like you have a game where you have to grind, or just like use magic and things like that, you want those mechanics to be great. You want that to be like, if that's gonna be the main focus, you want it to be good,
right? Because you want it to be captivating and you want it to be interesting.
Yeah,
because the fighting can get very boring.
Yes,
which we've talked about before. Like I talked about when I was playing Lost in Random. Like I just felt like all the battles were the same, so I was like, oh, I don't want to do this, even though the mechanics were really cool. So yeah, I think it's definitely like a fine line to tread. So I'm hoping that it is as impressive as it seems.
Yeah, and like that's the reason why I like Kenna. By the way, Kenna won.
Yeah,
like I was so happy. I was like
that was the first thing I texted Mary. I was like, Kenna! And then you didn't respond for like 20 minutes, and I was
so excited. I was peeing myself. Yeah. I had to clean myself up.
You had to change your diaper twice.
Yes, just for Kita. I shit and peed myself. But I was so excited for that. Oh my God. It just paves the way. Because they did so well with that. They're going to potentially make a sequel.
Right.
Which I'm
and now they
so
have an award. So for the people who care about awards, which awards don't mean anything, but for the people who do care about awards, that's like, oh yeah, they're award winning.
I won an award.
Let's give them money.
They just like hold up a trophy.
They're outside of like the investors.
They're like, do you see this?
Oh,
Jeff Keighley gave it to me.
Oh, just kidding.
But yeah, so super excited about that. But yeah, Forspoken.
Yeah.
I just love saying Forspoken. For sure. Yeah.
That was in my list as well. Most of mine were actually sequels, which was very surprising to me.
Yeah, I saw that.
Because I'm not usually a sequel person. I should specify. I'm not a sequel person with movies.
That's fair. I think that's fair. A lot of sequels are not so hot.
Yeah. But I mean, with games, less so. But it's funny because my list literally goes, Alan Wake 2, which I feel like we were all like, huh?
Yeah, that came out of nowhere. We all woke up.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was sleeping.
And the fact that it's going to be a survival horror instead of like an action adventure.
That's what I'm most excited for. Because that's the one thing I really like Alan Wake, the mood, the look of it, everything like that. But I just wish it was more in that survival horror genre. Yeah,
because I was, I'll just mention briefly now because in case we don't get to it later, but I've been playing Alan Wake because I got super hyped seeing there was going to be a sequel. So I was like, and I know it's like still like 2023, I think.
Yeah.
But I was still just like, fuck, like now I really want to play. And I forgot how much I love the atmosphere of it because it is like, it's not, the first game is not survival horror, but it's like, I still get scared shitless because shadow people appear out of the darkness. And I'm like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah. Whoa.
So
slip on a banana. Whoa.
So I'll be curious, like how they go about it. If it'll still be like, if it still involves light, if I still have to fucking aim a flashlight and a gun, we'll see.
Yeah.
It is really cool though, because I've been playing on PS5, so they have it with the adaptive trigger. So if you push it halfway,
you had me at adaptive trigger.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, yeah. Anytime I'm like haptic feedback.
I'm like, yeah, you had me.
Like,
haptic, yes.
If you do L2 halfway, it aims the flashlight and then all the way focuses the light.
That's cool. I like that.
So,
nice.
Yeah, so that was cool. But anyway, yeah, so I was super excited about Alan Wake 2. I'm excited about it being survival horror. Hellblade 2.
Yeah, that game looks so good.
Like I actually watched that trailer a couple times because I was trying to figure out where the cuts from cutscene to actually playing was.
I think it was all gameplay, wasn't it?
No, because some of it was gameplay and some of it was cutscenes, but it's so fluid.
Yeah.
That I was just like, oh my God.
So good.
Because there were a couple of times where the camera changes to a perspective where I was like, okay, I think that's like gameplay.
Yeah, because like she was walking, like looking at the large man coming out of the water.
Yeah, so but I was just like, oh my God. And that game is so good. I also am going to replay Hellblade.
Yeah.
Because I haven't played that in a couple of years. So I'm like, oh yeah, like I really want to replay that one. So I'll be interested to see
where it goes. No, that game I was insanely impressed by it. And I played so I started the first one and then I got too creeped out by this schizophrenia aspect of it. And that part freaked me out too much to where I couldn't keep playing it.
Yeah.
Because I have personal experience with that.
Yeah.
So I was like kind of triggered by it. But at the same time, that game is so like, also it's just good representation for people that are dealing with mental illnesses.
Yeah.
I feel like it's really good that it's out there. But this second one looks so good. I'm like, who's the big man?
Right.
Who's the tall man? Who's the slimy boy?
Yeah. I'm very curious to see, because like I did beat the first one. So there is like, it is really cool because you see sort of like the stigmatization of like mental disorders. And then you see like, I'll just kind of like not spoil it, but like give a general spoiler, like at the end, like, you know, she kind of like comes to terms with it and accepts like the voices. So it's like I'm curious to see like how that part, because you hear in the trailer in the second one there's still voices, so I'm curious how they're going to incorporate it now that she kind of like lives with it and accepts it and sees it positively and not as like a burden. So I'm just very excited because it also just looks fantastic and it looks just very grim. Like it looked very like
it looked like
gray.
Death Stranding done right.
Yeah.
Kojima.
So that was also on my list. And Dying Light 2 was my other sequel, which I've been talking about forever.
Yeah, that game looks like it's gonna be good.
Which is coming out in February. So and that the cinematic trailer got me even more hyped because it just looks good. I hope it plays as well as it looks, or else I'll cry.
I feel like they're putting the time into it to make it run well. I'm excited about a game that they didn't really talk about. Martha is Dead. It's like a first person game. It's about grief, honest, and it's about like twin sisters, and basically you see your sister die, and you have to like then play as the character and like cope with that, but also there's a mystery behind it and you have to find out why she, like how she died, like that kind of thing. It's like a narrative story. It's I don't know if it's survival horror, but there are some like supernatural aspects to it. So it's supposed to be like a scary type game, but also like a narrative, and it looks really good. Like it looks beautiful. And the voice acting's really good in it. So I'm really excited about that because those kind of games pull me in.
Yeah. Oh, I love games like that.
So that releases February 24th. Man, next year I'm going to be broke.
Yep.
I'm also really excited about Star Wars Eclipse because that surprised me. Not that the fact that there's another Star Wars game coming out, that didn't surprise me, but Quantic Dream is making it.
Yeah.
And, you know, David Cage, you know, Beyond Two Soul, you know, Indigo Prophecy, all those games. I've loved, like, I've bought every single game that company has come out with. Oh, yeah. And I've loved it. Like, I've had some issues with them. I'm like, all right, like, Detroit Become Human. I had some issues with it. It wasn't the best of games, but it was really like engaging. I loved it when I played it.
Yeah.
Would I play it again? Probably not, but it was a good experience.
Right.
And I feel like the world with like Star Wars, I wonder how they're going to do it. And I'm really excited to see what happens there. Also, another kind of on the vein of like narrative, like TV movies to video games is The Expanse.
Oh, yeah.
Which is the sci-fi, like, I don't know if it's on Sci-Fi Network, but it's a sci-fi show. And Telltale Games is doing it. And Telltale Games, I played The Walking Dead when it came out. Really liked that. Didn't like the sequel as much. But I played The Wolf Among Us. And The Wolf Among Us is notoriously their best game.
Yeah.
And it is such a great, I'm trying to think of the word, but I read the Fable, like, graphic novels. But it's such a good transition to video games. They did such a good job.
Yeah.
So I feel like they're going to do a great job with this. And I'm really into space. I'm really into like sci-fi. So I'm really excited about that. And that's TBD. It's probably not going to be released in another like 2 years. But my last game that I was excited for was Doki V. Because it looks so cute. Yeah. I mean, I know they had the K-pop choreographer do the like dance thing they did.
Yeah, you could totally tell.
Yeah. But the actual game itself, I was looking into it later on because I was like, what is that? I was like, I have no idea what that game is.
Yeah.
No idea like what it's about. And I was looking at the pictures, like the images and the gameplay and all that stuff. And I was like, this looks adorable.
Yeah.
Like I want to play it just because it's so cute.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's not the best of reasons to play a game, but I feel like in this instance, it is a good reason to play this game. And I'm excited about that. And that comes out in 2022. They didn't have it.
2022 can have all my money.
Yeah. Seriously.
2022, take my money.
I'm excited about Doki V.
Yeah.
Doki V. Plus the name's cute.
Yeah. I'm still waiting for more information about Stray.
Yeah,
I want to play as a cat.
I put down like in the notes, like I put down Stray as my like most anticipated game, but then I was like, oh, they didn't even discuss that, and I was like, they didn't discuss it.
Yeah.
At the same time, I don't know why I want to play.
Because it's supposed to come out next year.
Yeah, like early next year.
Yeah,
better come out early next year. But the gameplay, they showed gameplay last time,
right?
And it was not that much gameplay, but
I'm still like, I want it.
Yeah, the game looks like it's gonna be in my tops.
Yeah, it's gonna be in my top.
It's going to be inside my top. I'm going to steal it from a store.
No.
Target, watch out.
Well, yeah, you can steal from Target.
Yeah.
You can steal from big corporations.
Yeah,
you heard it here first.
Big corporations are dirty.
Yeah.
You can steal from them.
Then you go, ooh, gotta wash my hands. So dirty.
So we're telling you to steal from big corporations and big pharma.
Yeah, and definitely big pharma.
Yeah, steal.
As a diabetic, steal from big pharma.
Do it. Steal it.
But that was all I had for our notes.
Yeah, that was all I had as well.
What have you been playing this week? We'll end on our usual note.
Still Castlevania.
Yeah.
That game is incredible. The music is incredible. It's one of those games that you never know what you're gonna find in it.
Yeah.
It just keeps surprising you. The music too, like every time you go in, you're like, wow, this song's so good. Wow, this song's so good. Wow, it keeps getting better.
Wow.
The game is incredible. I'm gonna keep playing that for a while, I think. And other than that, I've just been studying up, help set up all the retro games.
Yeah.
So we can start doing that and just trying to get that situated.
Yeah.
In order for us to start streaming, because I feel like I not only want to stream like games, like what we talked about, but also like if we could stream our podcast somehow to just chatting, like the Twitch, I feel like we would get no views. I feel like people would hate us. So we should do it.
We'd have one view and it would be me making sure that the audio levels are okay.
Right. And you're like, wow, my biggest fan is myself.
I'm in the chat like, boo. You're like, Chris, stop.
Literally you. You're like,
I subscribed.
You're criticizing me. I'm like, you can just say it to my face, Chris, not through the chat box.
Yeah, I am super excited because that's something I've wanted to do too, is to like stream the podcast live.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because then we can just save it and I can cut it and upload it to YouTube like we always do. But many good things to come. I've just been still playing. Like I said, I've been playing Alan Wake again and loving it. I got through I'm almost at the end of the first chapter. I didn't get to play much because I ended up doing something else last night. But I've also been playing Animal Crossing still. Because again, what else are you to do when you're stuck at home for 4 weeks off of work?
Animal Crossing is the best game to play in that situation.
Oh, yeah. Also, the rain is so loud.
I love it. I love the sound of rain.
I'm going to have to do do a high pass filter and get rid of these low sounds.
Or maybe we could fade in the rain, like it's fading out, make it relaxing so they're relaxed. So they can go to sleep.
That's a smart idea.
Because they're listening to us while they're trying to sleep.
You've now gotten to the end of the podcast. Yeah. Close your eyes.
Breathe in. Make sure that your breath, you can really feel it in your ribcage.
Ribcage. Ribcage. Your ribcage. Nice ribcage. That's a great ribcage.
Want to eat them?
Anyway, y'all, as per always, you can listen to us on iTunes and Spotify and everywhere podcasts are available.
Please listen to us. Please let other people that like games listen to us. Make sure you mention us. Yes.
Like and subscribe. Watch us on YouTube. Or as I always say, open a YouTube video, mute it, and listen to us on iTunes or Spotify.
Absolutely.
And share. Mary and I are going to make a website and we're going to make socials so we can make it a little bit easier, because I do realize like it's kind of tough to share where people can listen to us because it's so many places. So we're going to create a website. Mm-hmm. We're going to create social media. So you can look forward to that next year as well. And on that note.
That's the last note.
That's the last note. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Wow, it is
pouring down.